It's Nats Watch again. Welcome to where we give you all of the happenings in the National Assembly and our lawmakers. I am Cynthia Agbo. If you've ever missed any episode of this program, well, now you're here. Don't miss any part, especially this season. We do have a lot to talk about in this little time that we have. Drama during the Senate committee meeting, budget of INEC, electoral amendment, Nigeria's protest this week, a whole lot. But we'll go on a very quick break. When we come back, we'll dive right into all of the conversation that you need to have. Now, welcome back. There is no point of us beating around the bush. Let's first of all start with the protests. Now, aftermath of the fact that the Senate said no to electronic transmission. Of course, if you joined the show last week, we did talk about that. It was a major issue last week. But then Nigerians took to the gate of the National Assembly, expressing themselves, venting, and airing their thoughts. Well, some of the words used might be a bit triggering, but they were expressing themselves as to why the National Assembly is sitting on transmission, talking about electronic transmission. I think it's best for us to start from there before we now move on to when it was finally accepted, and the clause by clause, everything that we need to know before my guest is going to join us. So let's first of all start with the protest of Nigerians. Of course, you could see your popular advocates, out there in their numbers. We also know that the president candidate of the 2023 election for the Labour Party, the person of Peter Obi, was also there. We also saw footage of Rotimi Amechi was also right there at the protest. Can we have the video of the protest that took place at the front of the National Assembly this week? And let's hear what Nigerians have to say, because of course, very clearly you could see that they were not exactly happy.
I hear you. 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 So what we are saying? Lie down there. Peter. Your oppressors, Nigerians. Yes. Stop being choose in the lie down there. The people we are fighting against. Give him mic. You are looking for do the right thing. You must do the right thing. Take back. Of the greatest Nigerian people, of the greatest Nigerian people, are we criminals? No. Are we thieves? No. Are we bandits? No. If there was this level of security in Kwara, we are going to kill up to 100 people. What are they doing here? Protecting who? Protecting who? Protecting your oppressors. At the end of 35 years in service, as a police officer, how much is your gratuity? How much is your pension? We want our votes to count. By the time you retire, you begin to regret. Nigeria must work in our lifetime. Nigeria must work. Whether as your life is or not, they must pass this bill. And they will meet us here. They will do the right thing. Our vote must. Our vote must. Our vote must. Our vote must. Exactly.
Honorable, if not for this protest, the Senate president, sir, with all due respect, sir, the Senate came back from holidays at the end of January. After sitting for about 3 days, the House and the Senate went on recess to resume on the 18th and on the 24th of February. So if not for the pressure that Nigerians are putting, so you people will not come back to come and do the right thing. So we are supposed to drag this thing to the end of the year.
Do we drag you people?
So I don't speak for the Senate, and I don't hold people for the Senate. We have guys and come out with a joint position.
The same National Assembly that changed everything for one day. Hold on. If Tinubu wants to borrow money today, it will be under 30 minutes. If the national anthem is one day, why is electronic and electoral reform taking how many years? It is not to listen to us. It is to take action. We want action, not to listen. We are tired. We are tired. We are tired.
As much as you want action,
For the Senate, you are the spokesperson for the House. Where is the spokesperson for the Senate? Where is Senator Yemi Adaramodu? You speak for the House of
All right. So those are, I'm not going to say angry Nigerians, I would say patriotic Nigerians. I'd rather use the word patriotic Nigerians who, defied all odds. Some came from different states in Nigeria to Abuja to stand and express themselves at the gate of the National Assembly. And if you could hear one of the videos where Randy Peters was talking about why there are so many securities, and well, on a normal day, well, when we go to the National Assembly, we don't see that much security. But on this day, it was a lot. And they are complaining, why are you bringing so much security? But the crux of the matter is the fact that Nigerians were coming out, or rather they came out, because it was a 2-day protest, came out to express themselves to say, okay, you must pass the bill. We want electronic transmission. You're not going to deprive us of our rights for our votes to be counted. But then again, let's look at the background of all of this. While this was going on, well, the Senate had to, run into a committee meeting, and they came up with something. Now, the highlight of the Electoral Act amendment, the Senate rejected provisions, which is having the mandatory real-time transmission of results, 10-year ban on vote buyers, and 5 billion naira fine and 2-year jail term for vote buying. All right, this was now what was signed, or rather amended. And then retained provisions for beavers for voter accreditation, PVC as sole identification of polling units, result transmission as prescribed by INEC. And also under retained provisions as well, we have the election notice period reduced from 360 days to 180 days. We also have candidate nomination timeline. Candidates must be nominated 90 days before election, and of course submission of candidates list must be submitted 90 days before elections. Now, just to give you a clear perspective of things before our guest gets to join us and definitely shares his own thoughts regarding to all of the controversy that took place within the week on the Electoral Amendment Bill. Now, you're definitely wondering, why are we even having this kind of conversation? If you look at your screen, you will see some of the results of 2023 elections, and it is because of results like this. Well, that is why Nigerians are complaining. They are agitating and they are angry because they do not want to experience what happened in 2023 or what has been happening in previous elections. And so they are saying, okay, we want everything to be transmitted electronically. We do not want anything manual. After all, we have a huge budget. Some might want to use the word humongous budget when it comes to the INEC. And of course, just let's not even talk about the amount that was released by INEC for budget, talking about electronics. But we'll still go to that. But let's just focus right now on the results. So if you can have that very good. It's right there on the screen. This is the 2020, some of the results of 2023 elections, right? You can see that some results had cancellations, you know, tipping some parts, and then changing of numbers, changing of figures, changing a whole lot of things, cancellations. And so it's almost like during the counting process, you're asking yourself, okay, why are we having all of this max everywhere? So these are some of the things that Nigerians are trying to kick against. So they do not want any manual. But if you look at what was agreed upon by the National Assembly, it tells you that there is room for the electronic and also for the manual, which means that there's already a foresight just in case the machines do not work. Now, my question, I think that my guest is going to help me to answer today is, why are we even making plans for manual if we're going to spend about 200 and something billion on machines? Well, I would pause on that, but it is so interesting because there are other aspects to this conversation. Let's look at the fact sheet, okay? Let's look at the fact sheet. Now, the fact sheet talks about what Nigerian law currently provides on electronic transmission of election results, how court interprets this result provision if you date back to 2023, and of course the different approach taken by the Senate and the House of Representatives in the Electoral Bill of 2025. I will just try as much as possible to run through certain important details that you need to know. Now, so the legal baseline is about the electoral provision. We also have the aspect of what the court decided after 2023. We also have the aspect of IREV not being supreme but not irrelevant as well. We also have the aspect of INEC's institutional contradiction. We also have the Senate approach, which is of course limited. You can call it a limited reform. So all of this, it forms a bulk thing, and we're going to be breaking that down. But let me start by saying that members of the National Assembly Conference Committee set up to reconcile differences in the Electoral Amendment Bill passed separately by the Senate and the House of Representatives are expected to meet on Monday as lawmakers intensify efforts to transmit a harmonized version of the bill to the President for assent. Now, findings indicate that the joint panel comprising of members of both chambers have been given a one-week deadline to resolve these contentious provisions in the bill, most notably, of course, bordering on the electronic transmission of election results. Now, this harmonization is very, very important, okay, because it follows the passage of different versions of legislation by the Senate and also by the House, with sharp disagreement over the scope and application of technology. Just to also let you know that I think 2 days ago, in an interview, I think it was Sirika Dixon or so, the senator talked about the fact that he prefers the resolution by the House of Representatives, right? But what Nigerians need to know on the procedure when the two chambers pass varying versions of the same bill, a conference committee is constituted to reconcile the differences and produce a single text acceptable to both sides before it is forwarded to the President. So what it means is that there have to be a harmony. And so the current amendment process is unfolding against the backdrop of controversies that followed the 2023 general elections. You just need to know that all of this is happening because people don't want what happened in 2023 to happen again. There is a whole lot I want to unpack right now, but I think I have to introduce my guests at this point, and we'll just go on a very short break. When I come back, I introduce my guests and we dive right into the conversation of the Electoral Amendment Bill and of course the humongous budget by the INEC. Don't go anywhere, it's Nas Watch. the men and women shaping the future of Nigeria. Get to know your representatives at the National Assembly. From lawmaking to constituency projects, we'll take you behind the scenes and inside the chambers of the Nigerian National Assembly. Learn about the bills they are championing, the challenges they are facing, and the impacts they are making in their constituencies. We'll also bring you closer to the people they are serving and the stories that shape their work. Join us on NAS Watch every Friday on Rapid Television at 7 p.m. So get informed, get engaged, and get to know the leaders shaping Nigeria's future. All right, welcome back. So NAS Watch, if you're just joining in, well, you've missed quite a few, but, well, you're just in time for our conversation with our guests. I do have Dr. Ugochukwu right here with me in the studio. I want to call him honorable as well. And I also want to call him a politician. Just so you know.
I'm not that kind of politician, you know.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you're the 1% of the 1%, but based on whatever response you give to me today, I would know you would be able to solidify your stand.
The stand
when it comes to if you're like them or if you're for the people.
I'm for the people always.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm sure you've been following what's been happening. The Senate has been having several committee meetings, from electoral bill to budget to a whole lot of meetings happening. Nigerians protested this week. At 2 days protest at the front of the National Assembly, expressing themselves when it comes to the electronic transmission of election results, and we had people like Peter Obi and the rest of them who joined the protest. For you, before they had to be compelled to include the transmission, even though there's still some clause, how did you receive this entire I don't want to call it madness, but how did you receive the entire situation?
For me, knowing the kind of National Assembly that we have today in Nigeria in the last 2 years, I was not surprised. I was not expecting anything less than that. But beyond that, it shows how rotten our National Assembly, how they are now compared to what we used to have before now. We now have people who don't care about the people. I was actually out of the country when this was all going on, but I was following it up online. When the National Assembly said that they were acting based on the representation of their constituents, the Senate, the senatorial zone and all that, it's very funny. You ask, what is why we are there elected to be in the Senate? They are supposed to serve as the voice of the people, voice of the common constituents of their constituencies. But they are acting based on their personal interests and the interests of their political parties. And it also shows that we don't have a vibrant opposition in the National Assembly. Okay,
I will pause you on that, Dr. Ugochukwu. We do have a video where some senators at the National Assembly were talking about in their quest to speak on why they don't want the electronic voting, electronic transmission. Let's have that video to get a clear perspective where the senators they spoke on electronic voting. We have the likes of Uzokalu, you know, who talked about how there are no. Okay, right, you're already laughing. We don't even have the video. You're ready. Okay, no, not this one, not this one. Where the senators, you know, speaking about the electronic voting,
I'd like to hear that fruit of that.
Yes.
But I want to hear it.
Yes, this one. All right, let's have it. Let's have it.
And I vote yes to Nigeria, yes to electronic voting. I hereby vote no.
Mr. President, I stand on the side of the people, of Nigerians. I vote yes.
In support of electronic transmission of results, I vote no.
I stand for the Commission may transmit results of election by electronic means.
I support the transfer of results through electronic process by INEC.
I stand to say yes for electronic transmission of election results.
Mr. President, I vote no.
Mr. President, I vote yes.
Okay, thank you.
To electronic transmission of results.
I vote capital no on the electronic transmission of voting.
Mr. President and my dear colleagues, I vote yes to electronic transfer of results and electronic voting.
On behalf of the very rural and network deprived people of Niger North, I say a very big and capital underline no.
What we have passed, and I can recollect this vividly, because I read that act when it was a bill several times.
Okay. What do you have to say?
It's appalling. The thing is that they are all saying personal issues for their personal interests. For instance, somebody said, one of the senators said, because in his village there is no network. I don't want to call his name here because I've been in his village, I've been in his house, I've been with him.
Oh wow, okay.
So, and I know that there is network in his village. So, today,
why don't you give us a name?
In today's age, yes, the authorities of Kano cannot say there is no network in his village. There is network almost, let's say 90% of every part of Nigeria right now. And beyond that, ADEC has a whole lot of money to acquire the latest technologies in terms of network. Starlink is available for everybody to use Starlink and get network wherever you want. So it's not beyond the budget of INEC. So the National Assembly is acting based on their personal interests. First of all, most of them have not performed very well in their various senatorial zone. And they know without, if election goes free and fair, transmitted without them uttering it, they will lose the senatorial, they will lose their seat. Many of them will lose their seat.
I'm a bit concerned, but why should you be concerned about losing your seat when half of the House is in the APC right now?
One of the things they also feel, not only that half of the House is in, more than half of the House is APC, and not only that they are afraid. They don't know that beyond that their 4 years, they can only be there for 4 or 8 years. Other people will come. So whatever thing you're doing it for the future of the country, not for your personal. You look at the future. I don't see why they are much afraid, because they keep saying they have done very well. They can beat their chest every day. They have done very. If you have done very well, why are you afraid of transmission of electronic the votes electronically?
Let's talk about.
This shows transparency.
But I think that we've been beating around the bush. Let's look at the elephant in the room. Do you think that all of this is happening because there's an interest they want to protect? Talking about the interest at the top.
Yes, it all goes from in this country. We know the slang that say from top to bottom. Yes, it's all coming from the up to the, because they are from their parties. They are going to benefit from all. Not only the National Assembly are going to benefit from that. From the presidency to the governors and the House of Assembly members and even the House of Assembly members are the states. If you go to the state and start to introduce this, give it like a vote at the state House of Assemblies, you'll be surprised that most of them will stand against electronic transmission of results.
And why is that?
Because they know if it is transparent, that people of Nigeria will not vote most of them back. And that is why they don't want it to be transmitted. If it is transmitted in real time, I'll be standing here knowing that this person is already failing an election. You can see the result real time. So there won't be opportunity for you to move from the polling unit using the agents to manipulate the result. Like when you see in some result sheet that you see it's 84 will turn to 840. 99 will turn to 999. Or you see them cancel 9, turn 9 to 8.
I mean, we had some of those
results are manipulated results.
Exactly.
You see all of them. So those things are not done even most time at the polling unit. It is done immediately when they leave the polling unit, go to the collection center.
Like what was seen on the screen.
Which is the reward collection centers.
Exactly.
At the like as you can see on the screen. This thing happens at the work collection centers. Most time from the work collections that it gets to local government, where you now have the spreadsheet where the whole entire result comes. But when you do electronic transmission from the polling unit to the real time, you actually know that this, you can't manipulate it unless if you have to hack into the INEC system, and that's another challenge. So they know if that is done, most of them will not return back. And I give it to the National Assembly. I want to bear with the National Assembly today. If they say they know they have done very well for the people of Nigeria, they should pass the bill for electronic transmission of result. And if you know you have done well, let's see how many of them will return.
Okay, so I mean, several times from the beginning when we started talking, you talked about how this is the worst National Assembly. This is the worst, the 10th house.
They are the worst 10th house.
And I think this is not the first time we're hearing that. And so in view of that, we actually have a video where the Senate President was trying his best to speak to that. All right, let's watch that video where the Senate President was talking about, you know, the various views of Nigerians, saying that the House is the worst in history. Let's have it.
Institutions. Democracy breathes through such interrogation. But I don't think citizens are free to abuse the legislature. I give you an example. There is a man who heads one NGO, or a CSO. He was on television the other day. He was abusing the current Nigerian Senate that he makes money from. And he said that the Senate is the worst since the world was founded. And he's judging us by something that is incoherent. Electoral Act amendment that is incompleted. We have not completed it, but they are already on television. You see all sort of panels. Because they don't understand lawmaking. They don't even know that even the one in the Senate is not completed until we look at the votes and proceedings. So when we bring out the votes and proceedings, any senator has a right to rise up and say on clause 3, this was what we agreed upon. And if those who are recording through the verbatim recorder disagree or agree, we amend it before we approve the votes and proceedings. That is the only time you can now talk about what the Senate has done or what the Senate has not done. But already people are on television abusing the Senate, talking about the Senate, even when what we did has not yet been approved by the same Senate. It's incomplete. Your Excellency, see how you are better than us. Once you decide, nobody will question and they will understand. But
how do you want to respond to that?
It's good that he has also identified that they are the worst Senate. Even though he did not, but at least he has heard it. He's aware. He knows the truth that this Senate has not been active like how the Senate should be. The Senate is romancing so much with the executive. A lot of things are going wrong and the Senate are not speaking. For instance, the budget of 2020-2025 have not been implemented to date. The National Assembly have not said anything to that. In the last 8 years, in the last 12 years of our democracy, we've not passed budget, we've not presented budget to the National Assembly in December. For the first time.
There was a budget sitting this week as well.
Yes, for the first time, that budget was presented in December, around 17th of December last year. And you ask yourself, why that? We have always presented our budgets in the last 12 years, September, latest October. Because you know when there's a proceeding and you have more friendly, a more active National Assembly. Beyond that presentation, the implementation, nothing has happened. And the Senate also accepted 2026 without even asking questions, fighting on the implementation of the budget of 2025. All this thing we are saying is not against to say it against the current government. It's for their betterment. If they implement what they have in their budget of 2025, Nigerians will be happy. And it will be a plus for their government. So when they see us talk about it and say, this is supposed to be done and you did not do it, it's not that the person is against their government, but it's trying to let them, to help them to do the right thing so that Nigerians will be happy. So this current National Assembly, even an ordinary layman on the streets, a wheelbarrow pusher in Nigeria knows that the National Assembly are not doing well. It's not the elites alone, it's not those politicians alone. Every Nigerian knows that the 10th Assembly has failed, and it has failed in many areas. This electronic transmission again now is one of those areas that they have failed woefully, that people feel that we don't have a National Assembly that is active. You mustn't fight with the executive every time, but you must let the executive know the things, the right things that need to be done. And in that doing, you collaborate. You know, Akpabio will always say that they don't want to fight the executive, they want to rapport with the executive. It's good and it can be effective if you are also active. That if you know why you are a senator, why you are a senate president, sometimes you call the executive, no, we can't allow you to do this. And the executive will understand because you know that that's your right as a senator. But this one, if the executive say, let's go and do this, the executive don't even need to tell them. They will be on present executive, why can't you do it this way? We are here, we are holding the National Assembly for you.
And sometimes you hear them singing on your mandate.
So you see, it is wrong for a senator singing on your mandate we stand in the National Assembly. Even if you are from different party, or there are all political parties are all members of the Senate. In a sane democracy, you give respect to the country or to other because of that. You don't just come on your mandate, every senator is singing on your mandate to stand. So what are you expecting the executive to do? When the executive cannot be active, the essence of legislature, the judiciary is to quicken the executive and make sure that the executive follow do the right thing. And so
the more they sit on this mandate, the mandate becomes weak and it's going to crack and it's probably going to break.
If you break, better for them.
But let's dive away from there. Even though it's still all connected, because of course there was a presentation of budget. The INEC presented its budget, which of course is another controversial aspect. The Senate, the INEC rather, presented its budget to the committee, and part of the interesting things about it is the fact that it's almost $1 trillion. Right? This budget is almost $1 trillion. And most shockingly is the fact that 209 billion budgeted for election technology. So my question now is, what happened to the INEC Beavers machines and all the money spent on them in 2023?
INEC is a very big challenge for Nigerians. Not only in the electoral process, conducting election, monitoring election, or calling them, it's also in the aspect of their budgeting. In fact, INEC is where so many the government people is their, how will I put it, their cash back. Because you can't tell me every 4 years you will buy technology, you will buy computers, you will buy this tech, you introduce this technology, you buy this, you buy this. At the end of the day, next budget you put it again. Do they throw those things away? Which I know that, watch out. If we are going to do this 2027 election, you're a press person, you monitor the election, you see that the same ballot boxes that we used in 2019, the same ballot boxes that we're using in 2027. The same beavers is what we use in 2023, is what we're going to. But in their budget, technology, they don't streamline it or itemize it one by one. They will say technology. Technology is very big. So you can say technology $1 billion. It is when you now come down and explain. Nigerians are not going to be there to monitor them and know what kind of technologies they are going to. They can only the Senate will, the Senate will, what kind of, when you say you don't want to do transmission of results, last 2023, there was so much money budgeted for technology, if you check the budget of INEC. And at the end of the day, what happened? The IRF did not work. There was no live transmission of results. A lot of things failed. So today, INEC is having a budget that is, if you put it in dollar, they're having about $645 million budget for 2027 election.
Which is worrisome because, I mean, we have one of the most expensive elections.
Our election is most expensive and not the most transparent. When you put in money in something, you expected that you will get the best. But we put in the highest money and we get the worst of elections. Like, for instance, 2023 election, 2018 all the elections that have been conducted in the recent time. You talk about the Edo election before the Anambra election. You see what happened? And you see how much that was budgeted in that election. Now, INEC is saying for operational personnel, 160 billion naira, for total about 1.1 trillion.
Well, the Senate is saying that INEC cannot conduct e-voting. Are they speaking from the point of the no reach, or from this point of inside information that we're probably not privy to?
For me, all these things INEC, National Assembly is deciding for INEC. If INEC is truly independent, and the National Assembly shouldn't be deciding most of these things for them.
Which now brings me to the question where I've been aching to ask you: is INEC truly independent?
For me, as a person, INEC is not independent. They are not. They're only answering Independent Electoral Commission. Look at, you see, Independent and National Electoral Commission, they're only answering it, but they're not independent. Because if they're independent, we shouldn't, National Assembly should intervene in their policies and plans and strategies to conduct a credible election for Nigerians. Because National Assembly members are interested party. Whether they're in PDP, they're in APC, they're in Labour Party, they're in ADC, they're all interested party to that election. So INEC should be the one, because they're the umpire, they should be the one to decide how they will conduct this election to give Nigerians a free and fair election that will make Nigerians be happy. I cannot be participating in an election and I'm still deciding who. It is also wrong that we even allow the president to appoint who becomes the National Electoral Chairman, the INEC chairman, because the president is going to contest in that election. So if he's going to contest that election, and if his party is the one that nominated the INEC chairman, we're all human beings. What do you expect?
So which, I mean, when Joash Amupiton came on board, I was having a conversation with someone, and part of the things I was saying was the fact that I do not, from where I stand, I do not think that there is going to be a level of transparency. It's just like saying I gave you money to go to the market, and then you went to the market and you didn't buy anything for me.
Of course.
How is that going to work? So is there any part of our process where we can rearrange it to be like the INEC chairman could be gotten from an independent source, not necessarily the president, if we want to achieve the independence of the INEC?
For instance, who are the key stakeholders in an election? You talk about the political parties. Mm-hmm. They are the key stakeholders because they produce these politicians who are coming to participate. If we have about 18 political parties, plus the, I think 3 or 4 new registered now. These political parties are the key players in the election process. Nigerians are the ones that will choose from these 18 political parties who become their president, who become their senators, who become their governors. The parties should be allowed to nominate who becomes the annex chairman. If the party comes together and say, we want this person to be the annex chairman, it makes it more transparent. Or if the National Assembly, who is now making laws for making policies for INEC, can make a policy, make a law that the president does not produce the annex chairman, it can be an independent body through the political parties and all that to be able to choose who become the annex chairman. Because, for instance, if a ruling party is one that nominated the annex chairman, naturally they already up the game already above the other opposition political parties. And again, you come to the National Assembly that are making, like amendment of the Electoral Act and all that now. The majority is the ruling party. Mm-hmm. The ruling party produce also the annex chairman. Mm-hmm. Do you expect? And 2, we don't have a strong system. If there is a strong system that the national chairman can come, he cannot alter anything, then you can say, at least we have gotten it, it can be transparent up to 60-70%. But as it is, it's difficult for you to see him perform transparently, giving us free and fair elections.
So what you're trying to say now, Dr. Ogochukwu, is that there is no magic that is going to happen if we are expecting a free and fair election. Or you're saying that Nigerians should not expect it, they should just take whatever they can get and follow up their numbers as much as possible?
In as much as, if we follow the track record of Professor Peter,
yeah,
we can say that there can be free and fair.
No,
before he joined the INEC.
Okay.
But now that he's in INEC, whenever look at Professor Mahmood, didn't he have a good record?
Are you not saying that his hands has been sought by accepting the...
You don't need to, I don't say, I'm not the one saying that.
No, I'm just asking a question.
I don't know, but I'm just telling you that Professor Mahmood, he was a big professor, wonderful professor, first class.
Until he was not.
He brought INEC. What happened? Amoputa has good record, track record, the lawyer Sunday, and now he's in INEC. Yes.
So what are you
We expect a free and fair election from him.
Okay.
But the system that makes it easier for you to have that free and fair election is not available.
Okay. So what it therefore means is that Nigerians should keep their fingers crossed, expect the best, and
the Nigerians, what Nigerians need to do is what Nigerians did by going to the National Assembly to protest for the amendment of the Act for the transmission of result is a good one, and I applaud all the people who took that step. And I'm happy that Mr. President was one of those who also took those steps in the past, and he knows that what they did was the right thing in any society that want to get it right, because our country is still a developing country. For us to get it right, we must always take these steps to make sure that the right things are done. They should, it must be a peaceful protest in our demands. So it's important that the Nigerian people do that and continue to do that. When the National Assembly or the government go wrong, we must always put them to their toes and make sure that they do the right thing. They might not get it 100% right, but in that step, we can get it at least 60%. And we'll move on from there.
All right. So one thing Nigerians have to know is that we look forward to Monday, where the harmonization between the Senate and the Reps is going to take place, even though some have said they prefer that of the House of Reps. Now, the passage of the bill comes amid mounting pressure on the Senate to conclude work on the Electoral Act amendment to provide a clear legal framework for INEC to operate ahead of the forthcoming general elections of 2027. I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Gochukwu Williams, for joining me to have this conversation this evening. I wish we had more time to look at a whole lot of things, but don't worry. I think this is the season of talking about electoral bills a whole lot, and so we'll still have more time to talk about this subsequently. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming through. And that's the much we can take on the show.
It's always a pleasure.
Of course.
Being here.
Absolutely.
Pleasure, yeah,
absolutely. And that's the much we can take on the show this beautiful evening. That's what comes to you every Friday, and of course a repeat on Sunday at 7 p.m. Don't forget, that's also going to be on YouTube, so you can always catch up with all your favorite episodes and of course all of our other programs. If you have questions, whatever it is you want to be a part of the show, you can definitely follow us on our social media platforms to have this conversation. My name is Cynthia Agbo. The news comes about 8 o'clock. Don't go anywhere. It's Rapid TV.